StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन।
Why you should obey the state? Why you should pay the taxes on time? And if you are not paying taxes on time, a state will impose the penalty. If you are not following the traffic rules, a state will again impose the fine or penalty. Hence, what are the limitations on the powers or authority of the state? What are the limitations on your rights, your liberty, your freedoms? Have you thought of all these questions anytime? If not, and if yes, we will going to discuss all these questions in this lecture, because we are going to discuss the relationship between you, me, and all of us. That is the relationship between individual and state in this lecture. And we will also discuss emergence of social contract. That is the contract between you, me, and all of us, and between the state. Okay? So we will going to discuss these two aspects in this lecture. So let's start that what is the relationship between individual and state. So first, when I say individual, usually it is considered that individual is one of the rational human being who can freely choose anything, who can decide what to do, what not to do. On the other hand, state is organized power. State is something which impose law and enforce that particular law. Sometimes they will use coercion as well, which means prima facie, if you will see, then the nature of individual and the nature of state seems contradictory or opposite to each other, because individual is a rational human being, and as a rational human being you can decide what I want, what I should do, what I should not do. But on the other hand, a state is imposing something on you, because a state is organized power. If you are not going to do this, a state will punish you. Sometimes a state will use coercion as well. Hence, prima facie, the relationship which looks like contradictory, the relation which looks like opposite, but still it is prevalent all over the world. How? Yes or no? Because your nature and the nature of a state is quite opposite. And that is why we will going to discuss the nature of a relationship. That what is the relationship, how we will reconcile these two exactly opposite things together. Okay? Moving ahead with this, the fundamental tension between the freedom and the authority. Exactly. There is a fundamental tension. As a rational human being, you can do whatever you want, but a state will force you. And because of that, political authority of the state will emerge. Social contract will emerge. So many people, many thinkers, many philosophers will give various justifications. Some will say that it is natural. It emerged naturally. Political authority is not imposed, or it is not a contract. Rather, it emerged naturally. Some will say, like Thomas Aquinas kind of people will say, that it is divinely ordained. A state exists because God ordered, and because a state is ruling, a state is exercising authority on behalf of God. But some will say, no, it is artificial. It is constructed. And how it is constructed? It is constructed when all of us realized that there should be some centralized authority. That centralized authority will take care of everything, because we as an individual are quite busy. We as an individual are selfish as well. And as a selfish human being, there should be something that will take care of your life, liberty, and property. And that is how social contract will came, and because of that, political authority was established. Right? So in this manner, we will going to discuss. So there are many views related to the relationship between individual and the state. As we know that liberals will focus on liberty, especially on individual liberty. And they will say that individual is a rational human being, and as a rational human being, a state should not intervene. A state should be minimum state. Or you can say night watchman state. An individual should have duty towards himself, should focus on liberty, should focus on rights rather than duty. On the other hand, socialists will come and they will say that state is a positive good. There should be welfare state. Rather than night watchman state is nothing but the derogation of the state. It is the insult of the state, according to socialists. They will say that there is a well-defined role of the state. A state will initiate welfare activity in the society. Those who are not well-to-do, a state will take care of them. A state will enforce, a state will bring equality in the society, which is a necessary ideal. And that is why duty should be given more priority than the rights. So all the notions related to liberalism will be overturned by socialists. And then came idealists like Hegel or Nazi or fascist. And they will say that state is the march of God on the earth. And individuals should submit before the state. And individuals should have duty towards the state. Because a state is what? A state is embodiment of reason, embodiment of rationality. So individuals should follow the state. Gandhiji, as one of the anarchist thinker, Gandhiji will say, no, no, no. A state is unnecessary and evil. It is unnecessary and evil. Hence, individuals should have duty towards self. Okay. So, these are some basic views related to individual relationship between individual and state. But overall, if you will see that most of the countries are following that state on the one hand and individual on the other hand. And what is the relationship? That a state is protecting you. On the other hand, you should show your loyalty or allegiance towards the state. A state will provide you the rights. On the other hand, individual will have duty towards the state. And this relationship is known as social contract. This relationship is nothing but the social contract. That both are doing something. A state is doing something, individual is doing something. And their relationship is known as social contract. I hope it is clear to you. So, in the next segment of this video, we will going to discuss the evolution of the theory of social contract. What are the views of various thinkers? Before moving ahead, I would like to make one announcement that philosophy optional batch is closing on 10th of April. You can use SU Live code to avail the maximum discount, and these are some important features of this batch, such as 5 essay classes, 5 ethics enrichment classes, which means it is not only 500 marks for optional, but we are trying to cover 500 additional marks for essay and ethics, because there is a organic relationship between essay, ethics and philosophy. So we will extend our discussion of philosophy optional towards the ethics and essay paper. In fact, ethics is one of the branch of philosophy. So that is why we will try to discuss philosophy as a comprehensive whole, rather than in segment like first we will discuss philosophy and then ethics. That is why these two new features are added in this batch. So you can join this batch by using SU Live code to avail the maximum discount. Admission is closing on 10th of April. If you want to have connected with me, then you can join this Telegram channel to avail all these PDF on this Telegram channel. Now we will discuss various views, or you can say how social contract theory evolved over the period of time. when we say ancient Greek, social contract was not present in an explicit manner. But Plato, in his book Republic, he gave the reference of two individuals. One, that is Thrasymachus, and another one was Glaucon. Thrasymachus, okay, Thrasymachus and Glaucon were having interaction with the Socrates in the Republic. And Thrasymachus said that justice as the constraint by strong. Okay, he was hardcore realist. Hardcore realist. And he said that justice is nothing but the constraint by strong. Nothing else. But according to Glaucon, he said that justice is a necessary social contract agreed upon by the weak to restrain the strong. So it is the natural, what he said, necessary social contract. How social contract came? So in the Republic, Plato mentioned that justice is nothing but the necessary social contract in order to protect the weak from the stronger. Aristotle said that man is, or individual is, political animal. And because of we all human are political animal, what happened? The state is natural outgrowth. I already told you that political authority, how it established. So some will say that it is established naturally. So Aristotle gave this particular point of view, that political authority established naturally. Why? Because we all are political animal, and because of that political authority is needed. Moving further, Saint Augustine said that no, it is divinely ordained. A state is established because God ordered it so. There is one, but there is one exception. Aquinas planted a seed of resistance. Nothing that unjust law need to be not to be obeyed. He also said that if there is unjust law, he said that unjust law is not a law at all. So if there is unjust law, you can disobey that law, even if it is coming from the state, which is ordained by the God, right? Moving ahead with this, Manigauld of Lautenbach. A tyrannical king breaks his compact with the people, justifying his removal. He said that if a king is ruling with the high-handedness, if his rule is not benign, then people are authorized to remove such tyrannical king, right? These are some ancient view, but modern social contract theory in its present form shaped by these three important thinkers. One, Thomas Hobbes in Leviathan, John Locke in two treatises in his book, and the last one is Rousseau in his book Social Contract. So one by one, we will discuss all these three thinkers. First, that is Thomas Hobbes. What Thomas Hobbes said? Thomas Hobbes was the person who saw feudalism in his time, 16th, 17th century, especially the feudal France he saw. And he said that, look, man is selfish in nature, brutish in nature, and its nature is self-preservation, nothing else. Selfishness is present in its core of human being. And without the state, it is like war of all against all. No one is safe. इसका कहना यह था कि यदि एक सेंट्रलाइज्ड अथॉरिटी नहीं होगी तो हम में से कोई भी सेफ नहीं है, और इस वजह से आपको अपने अधिकारों का जितना ज्यादा उपयोग करना है, उतना ही आपको अपनी लिबर्टी को एक सेंट्रलाइज्ड अथॉरिटी के सामने सरेंडर करना पड़ेगा, और वो सेंट्रलाइज्ड अथॉरिटी लेवियाथन जैसी होगी, सी मॉन्स्टर जैसी होगी, जिसे उसने कहा स्टेट। और इस प्रकार से सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अपने अस्तित्व में आया पहली बार। यदि मॉडर्न फॉर्म में हम बात करें, सो इन द फर्स्ट टाइम इन द मॉडर्न फॉर्म हाउ social contract established, so it is established by Thomas Hobbes. He said that without a radical insecurity, a war of all against all, where equal capacity to harm means no one is safe. Life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. And a rational individual make an irrevocable transfer of all natural right to sovereign in exchange for order. हम सब लोगों ने, because we all are rational human being, हम सब लोगों ने एक सोवेरेन के साथ, सोवेरेन का मतलब एक स्टेट जो कि बहुत पावरफुल है, उसके साथ में एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बनाया और हमने सब लोगों ने ट्रांसफर ऑफ ऑल द नेचुरल राइट्स, हमने सारे अपने नेचुरल राइट्स उसको ट्रांसफर कर दिए ताकि एक ऑर्डर एस्टेब्लिश हो सके. ठीक है. He said that liberty is only possible within the strong political order. यदि strong political order नहीं होगा तो liberty establish नहीं हो सकती. यदि आप हॉब्स के व्यूज को मॉडर्न टाइम में अप्लाई करना चाहते हो तो वहां सब जगह हॉब्स के व्यूज लागू होते हैं जहां पर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट की जरूरत होती है. Whenever it comes to fight against terrorism, fight against Naxalism, fight against insurgency, counter-terrorist operation, or whenever it comes to the matter of national security, strong state आज भी है ना. जब अमित शाह लोकसभा में खड़े होकर के कहते हैं कि हम नक्सलिज्म को उखाड़ फेंकेंगे, तो वो उखाड़ फेंकना क्या है, वो स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट को ही तो दर्शाता है. तो मॉडर्न टाइम में भी मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूं कि इंडिया में सिर्फ स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट है, नहीं, लिबरल स्टेट भी है, लिबर्टीज भी हैं, लेकिन बहुत सारे इंस्टेंसेस है जहां पे आपको एक स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट देखने को मिलता है, लेवियाथन देखने को मिलता है. ठीक है. वहां पर लिबर्टी को उतनी तवज्जो नहीं दी जाती है बिकॉज देयर इज अ केओस, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू फाइट अगेंस्ट नक्सलिज्म और टेररिज्म. ठीक है. तो ये थॉमस हॉब्स का कहना है कि कैसे सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बना. लोक को फादर ऑफ मॉडर्न, यू कैन से, लिबरल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म कहा जाता है, जिन्होंने उस लेवल पे स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट की तो बात नहीं की, लेकिन सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट थ्योरी को आगे बढ़ाया जहां पर उन्होंने इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी को ज्यादा महत्व दिया. Locke was the person who gave the theory of natural rights, and he said that nature has given us three rights, three inalienable rights: right to life, right to liberty, and right to property. And even the state is not authorized to take away all these rights. तो कहीं ना कहीं जो एक स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट की स्थापना थॉमस हॉब्स ने की थी सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के माध्यम से, उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में आप ऐसा बोल सकते हो कि लोक ने आकर के थोड़े से चेंजेस किए हैं. उन्होंने कहा कि यार ये इस प्रकार का जो स्टेट है वो लिबर्टी को पूरी तरीके से खा जाएगा, तो इसमें क्या चेंजेस करने पड़ेंगे. तो उन्होंने कहा कि देखो, इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी, ये तीन प्रकार की लिबर्टी स्टेट को भी हक नहीं है लेने का, क्योंकि ये नेचर ने दिया है. राइट टू लिबर्टी, राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी एंड राइट टू लाइफ. ठीक है. तो आप ये बोल सकते हो कि उस स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट में थोड़े से लिमिटेशंस जो है वो किसने इंपोज किए, जॉन लॉक ने की है. स्टेट ऑफ नेचर, ही सेड, मोस्टली बेनाइन. वहां पर ब्रिटिश था, यहां पे क्या है, मोस्टली बेनाइन एंड गवर्न्ड बाय द रीजन, एंड द फंडामेंटल फ्लो इज इन कन्वीनियंस एंड बायस ऑफ ईच पर्सन एक्टिंग एज अ जज इन दिस ओन केस. उन्होंने कहा कि स्टेट की जरूरत इस वजह से है क्योंकि यदि हम सब अपने केस में एज ए जज एक्ट करने लगेंगे, सो इट विल बी द वायलेशन ऑफ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस, और इसी वजह से स्टेट की जरूरत है. ठीक है. यहां पे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट क्या है, राइट्स, लाइफ, लिबर्टी एंड प्रॉपर्टी आर नॉट सरेंडर्ड, दे आर एंट्रस्टेड टू द गवर्नमेंट स्पेशली टू प्रोटेक्ट देम. हमने सरेंडर नहीं किए, जबकि गवर्नमेंट को बोला है कि भाई आपको इनको प्रोटेक्ट करना है. तो यहां पे सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का जो नेचर था वो लॉक ने अपनी थ्योरी में बदल दिया, और उसको और हद तक जो मॉडर्न फॉर्म में बदला है उनका नाम है रूसो. रूसो की तो बुक का ही नाम है सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. उन्होंने कहा कि नेचुरल मैन इज इनोसेंट एंड फ्री, एंड इट इज द सोसाइटी एंड इनइक्वालिटी दैट करप्ट्स. मैन इज बोर्न फ्री बट एवरीवेयर ही इज इन द चेन. रूसो कहते हैं कि यार देखो, दो प्रकार की विल्स होती हैं, एक जनरल विल होती है और एक इंडिविजुअल विल होती है, एंड यू शुड सबमिट योर इंडिविजुअल विल बिफोर जनरल विल. जनरल विल क्या होती है? जनरल विल इन्वॉल्व्स द वेलफेयर ऑफ ऑल, एंड हु विल एनफोर्स द जनरल विल? इट इज द स्टेट. So individual will may be, or you can say sometimes it may be selfish in nature. And because of that, we should subordinate our individual will before the general will. And who will going to enforce this? Individual do not submit to a ruler. The collectively form a community where each submit to general will, good, distinct from merely a majority preference.
StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन।